All right, a lot there today. It's not a sitting day, but certainly a busy day in Canberra. 19 days now until Australia votes on the Prime Minister's referendum on the voice. Poll after poll, of course, showing it's headed for historic loss. According to the latest Newspoll, you saw that there. It's fallen, the yes vote fallen to 36%, dropping another 2 points. The same polling shows the no votes increased to 56%. It's up by 3. The don't know category, now that's the undecideds. That's right down to 8% now, dropped 1 point to 8. And it looks as though the undecideds are falling the no campaign's way. We'll get into that and more. Joining me to do that is Australian's national editor, Dennis Shanahan. Dennis, welcome as always on a Monday. I'll get into the mechanics a little bit about the campaigns in a moment, but broadly on these polls, do you think they're on the money?
Oh, look, I think that all of the polls are in such agreement, it would be very difficult to say that they are not reflecting the feeling which is being felt now in the public. Now, said plenty of times before, polls are not predictive, but the uniformity of the polls, the difference of the polls, the Newspoll has 20% percentage point difference between the yes and the no in favour of no. It is very hard to see that these polls are not on the money. Now, also, the Yes campaign is saying, oh, look, our volunteers are saying that once they're speaking to us on the ground, they are coming up, being more positive, and they still see a pathway through. Well, I think there's a real warning for people who are campaigning, door knocking. Really only believe the person who tells you they are going to vote against you. They are the ones you know are telling the truth. And the idea that this pathway is still there seems to be diminishing a great deal for the Yes campaign. And while the campaign, the bulk of the money is yet to be spent on the Yes campaign, it is very difficult to see it changing the trajectory. And I think the Prime Minister's allusion today to the fact that, oh, well, at least it has concentrated, put the focus on the disadvantage of Indigenous communities, while he's right, that is a good thing, but it's also a sign that you can see him thinking it is slipping away as well.
Well, just on that, I mean, then he's spending $400 million on what amounts to be an information campaign. I mean, that's what it is if you're spending $400 million on this referendum, and all it is to tell us about closing the gap and all the things we need to do. If it's not about the voice, if he's given up on the voice, save us the money and let's not have the vote. But of course, he's divided Australia. I mean, he's gone off, I think, half-cocked with this campaign. If they've got all this money, Dennis, they should have spent it months and months ago when they had time to turn opinion. I'd have to say, as a campaigner, when you flog a dead horse in the last 3 days or last 3 weeks, as we'll see now, and you spend the money and you have all the preaching that's going to go on at grand finals and other events, that's only going to harden people's resolve, I suspect, against it.
Well, I think that's right. Look, I think people are getting sick of it already. They want to have their vote, and I think that that's part of the size of the no vote, is that people want it over and done with. They don't like the waste of money, the money that is being spent and not having an effect on Indigenous communities. And the idea that we're spending almost $500 million on a referendum, which looks like it could be defeated, when that money could be spent so much more effectively on a different proposal than the voice, real practical outcomes. We know that there's that school in the Alice Springs crying out for just a couple of $1 million to establish a safe haven for young children who are under threat. This is what is infuriating people about the waste of the money in the whole referendum campaign.
Yeah, that's Yuparinga School in Alice Springs. I visited that. I think they want something like $7 million to build a boarding school to look after kids who've got a lot of trouble at home. They can't get that, but we can have $400 million on a referendum. Just quickly, I'll move on to other issues, but Kamal last night on the project, I felt he was being verbaled. He made the point that we spend $40 million as a nation, $40 billion on Aboriginal people. He was almost verbaled into a statement from the host that he was talking about a budget for an Indigenous organisation in Canberra. That's not what he was talking about. And when you go and have a look at the Productivity Commission and you adjust it for inflation, Kamal's on the money. Kamal is absolutely on the money. And it's this moral tone coming from the yes camp, even from these supposedly neutral TV presenters. It's clear he's reacting, I think, like a lot of ordinary Australians are reacting to this.
Yes, look, you have to feel sorry for some of the people in this campaign. Kamal is the latest example of people who are thrown into what is a highly political campaign. It is one where media professionals are expecting a polished performance from everyone. And even Marcia Langton has demonstrated that she is not a practiced politician in a campaign sense, and she said some things which really damaged the Yes campaign. Now, you feel sorry for people who are thrown into this. They're doing their best, and yet they are not professional politicians. They are not professional campaigners, nor are they, apart from being an entertainer, a professional media performer. So I think that I feel sorry for Kamal, and it's part of the confusion that is going on in this campaign.